I broke the law to save the woman I love, and she betrayed me in the most beautiful way. If you think you'd die for love, wait until you hear what she did to stay free. You won't look at loyalty the same way ever again.
My name's Corbin Maddox, and if you told me 5 years ago that I'd be telling this story from a hospital bed in upstate New York, I'd have laughed you out of the bar. But here I am, hooked up to a morphine drip, staring at the ceiling tiles, replaying every decision that led me here. Some people say every choice is a stepping stone. Well, my stones were jagged, slick with rain, and half buried in lies. But maybe if you hear my story, you won't make the same mistakes. I was born in a nowhere town in Montana. We had 1 gas station, 2 churches, and a high school football team we worshiped more than God. My old man, Marcus Maddox, was a mechanic who could fix anything but himself. Mom, Rosalie, was the kind of woman who could kill you with kindness or a shotgun, depending on how you crossed her. By 16, I knew that if I didn't run, I'd end up like Dad, bitter, drunk, and blaming everyone else. So the day I turned 18, I packed my guitar, my grandfather's army duffel bag, and just enough money for a bus to Chicago. I didn't have a plan. I just had hope and cheap whiskey burning my throat. Chicago chewed me up fast. I worked construction by day, played dive bars by night. My music was my prayer, raw, desperate, and louder than the voices telling me I'd never make it. Then one night at an open mic in Wicker Park, she walked in. A redhead with a laugh like summer rain. Her name was Lyora Voss, and God help me, she ruined me in all the best ways. Lyora wasn't just pretty, she was wild. She painted murals under bridges, danced barefoot on rooftops, and believed in signs from the universe. She said we were twin flames, destined to burn each other down. I didn't care about destiny, I just wanted her. We fell hard. We were broke, drunk on cheap wine, and dreams bigger than our studio apartment. We'd lie awake at dawn, tracing maps on each other's skin, promising that someday we'd pack up and head west to California. She wanted ocean salt in her hair and sunlight in her eyes. I wanted whatever she wanted. But dreams don't pay rent, and Chicago winters don't care about poets. So when my old buddy, Travis Trigg Halpern, called about a job, real money, quick, I said yes before he even explained. That was my first step onto the stones that broke me. Trigg wasn't evil, just reckless. He ran a crew boosting high-end cars from the Gold Coast, then flipping them to chop shops out in Gary, Indiana. He said all I had to do was drive. Easy. No guns, no blood. I told Lyora it was a delivery gig. She believed me because she wanted to. For a while, it was good. We had money for rent, music equipment, even a weekend in Nashville where I played for a producer who said I had potential. But every dollar I pocketed carried a whisper of fear. One night we were supposed to grab a Tesla from a condo parking garage. In and out, no problem. But the owner, a surgeon named Franklin Reese, came down early. He caught Trigg popping the lock. I'll never forget the pop of the gun, the way Franklin fell. Just a man in pajamas bleeding out on cold concrete. Trigg shoved the keys in my hand, screaming, "Drive, now!" I drove. God help me, I drove. I told myself I was innocent. I hadn't pulled the trigger. But the law didn't care. Reese was dead, Trigg vanished, and I was the only idiot on security cameras. We ran, Lyora and me, all the way to Buffalo, where an old friend of hers, Zeke Bramwell, had a rundown house we could squat in. Zeke was ex-Army, honorable discharge, bad knee, worse temper. He didn't ask questions. He just pointed us to the basement and told us not to cause trouble. Lyora still believed we'd outrun it all. She'd say, "Corb, someday we'll laugh about this in Malibu, you and me, toes in the sand." But each day the walls pressed closer. I stopped playing guitar, I drank more, I watched the news, waiting for my face to show up. And then came the night that sealed it all. Zeke barged downstairs, high on painkillers, waving a crumpled letter from Trigg. Turns out my old friend had ratted me out to buy himself time. There was a warrant. The feds were coming. Zeke said he had a plan: guns, stolen car, a back road to Canada. Lyora begged me not to go. She said we should turn ourselves in, get a lawyer, fight it out. But I couldn't see the beach anymore, just bars and chains and orange jumpsuits. So I grabbed her by the shoulders, kissed her like I'd never see her again, and followed Zeke into the dark. We didn't make 10 miles before the troopers boxed us in. Zeke pulled a gun. They shot first. He died screaming my name. I didn't even have time to run. Now I'm here. Hospital room, plastic bracelets, an armed deputy at my door. They say I'll get 20 years if I cooperate, 40 if I don't. I'm tired of running. Maybe I deserve it. Maybe I always did. But there's one thing left to do before they take me away. Tell this story. Maybe you'll see a piece of yourself in me. Maybe you'll take the right fork in the road. Or maybe you'll step where I stepped and feel the same stones crack beneath your feet. Anyway, that's how it started. And it sure as hell ain't how it ends. I don't know how many days have passed since they stitched me up and handcuffed me to this bed. It could be 3, could be 10. All I know is every time I close my eyes, I see Leora's face the last time she looked at me. Mascara smudged, lips trembling, whispering, "Don't go, Corbin, please, don't go." The nurse's name is Emery Bell. She's young, probably just out of nursing school. She tries to treat me like any other patient, but I can feel her unease. I catch her glancing at the armed deputy at the door, at the chain on my ankle. Once, when she was changing my IV, she asked what I did. I just shrugged. What could I say? Hey, Emery, I let my greed kill a man and ruin the only good thing I ever had? No one wants that story over their morning coffee. But that's why I'm telling it now. For you, not for her. Maybe if I drag every ugly piece into the light, it'll lose its teeth. Or maybe it'll just bite harder. I guess we'll see. The detectives came on day 5. 2 of them. The first, a hard-bellied bulldog named Agent Norcross. He had the accent of someone born and bred somewhere between Pittsburgh Steel and Jersey mob lore. The second, Agent Celeste Hadley, quiet, sharp eyes, no ring on her finger but a faint tan line where one used to be. She reminded me a little of my mother. Not her face, but the way she looked at me. Like she'd seen every trick a man could pull and was tired of pretending to be shocked. Norcross did most of the talking. He laid out the evidence like playing cards. Camera footage, witness statements, Trigg's confession letter. He made it clear they didn't need me to confess, they wanted bigger fish. They wanted to know where Trigg was now, who else he worked with. He promised me a deal. Less time, Libby witness protection, maybe a fresh start. Funny thing, after everything, I still felt loyal to that snake. Maybe because ratting him out meant admitting what I really was, not just a victim of bad luck, but a criminal who chose every damn mile of this road. So, I lied. Said I didn't know where Trigg was. Said I hadn't heard from him since Chicago. Norcross didn't believe me, but he couldn't prove I was lying. Not yet. Hadley just watched. When they left, she paused at the door, looked back at me and said, "Corbin, one day you're going to want someone to believe you. Maybe save a little truth for that day." Then she shut the door behind her, and it felt like a coffin lid. After that, sleep turned mean. Nightmares. Leora's voice begging me to stop running. Zeke's death rattle. The flash of Franklin Reese's wide eyes the moment before the gun went off. Sometimes I think I hear Trigg laughing in the hallway, mocking me because he's free and I'm not. One night, or maybe early morning, time means nothing in this room, I heard a soft knock at the window. It didn't make sense. I'm on the 2nd floor. I figured it was a hallucination, maybe the pain meds playing tricks. But then I heard it again. I pushed myself up, biting back the ache in my stitched-up side. There, outside the glass, was Leora. Rain-slick hair clinging to her cheeks, eyes burning with that old wildfire. She tapped the glass with a tiny flashlight. I almost laughed. I thought I'd conjured her. But when she mouthed, "Open it," and I saw her breath fog the window, I knew this was real. I don't remember much about how I got the window unlocked. I remember the cold air, the hiss of rain, and her hands tugging at my wrist cuff until it popped free. She'd stolen the key from a distracted orderly, sweet-talking her way past security just like old times. I tried to speak, but she pressed her finger to my lips. "Don't talk. No time. They'll check on you in 10 minutes. Can you stand?" I wasn't sure, but I'd have crawled over broken glass if she asked. I swung my legs over the sill, gritting my teeth as pain shrieked through me. Leora wrapped her arm around my waist and half-dragged me onto the roof below. We stumbled across slick shingles and dropped down behind the maintenance shed. It was a rust bucket Jeep idling by the dumpsters, engine coughing, headlights off. In the driver's seat was a kid I'd never seen before, maybe 19, with acne scars and a Detroit Tigers cap pulled low. "Who's this?" I rasped. "Friend of a friend," Leora said. She shoved me into the back seat. "Don't worry about it. Just hold on." The Jeep fishtailed out of the parking lot. Behind us, alarms started howling. Red and blue lights flickered on the hospital walls as security realized I was gone. I looked at Leora, soaked to the bone, knuckles white on the seat.
"Why?" I asked her, my voice cracked. "Why risk it?" She didn't look at me. Her eyes stayed on the road ahead, dark and endless. "Because I still see the man you were, Corbin Maddox, not the man you think you became." I wanted to believe her. God, I did. But sirens wailed in the distance, and the rain kept falling, washing the blood off my hands, but never the guilt. We didn't have a plan. We never did. But as the city lights vanished behind us and the back roads swallowed us whole, for the first time in months, I felt something I thought I'd buried for good. Hope. The kid driving the Jeep said his name was Jace Renner. He didn't ask questions, which made me like him instantly. He just kept glancing at Leora in the rear view, like he was half in love with her too. I didn't blame him. We tore through back roads in upstate New York for hours. Jace knew every turn, every pothole, every dead stretch where you could kill the headlights and watch the stars if you were a romantic fool. I used to be one once. Now I just pressed my palm to my side, feeling the stitches strain every time we hit a bump. "Where are we going?" I croaked. Leora twisted around to face me. Even in the dark, even drenched and wild-eyed, she looked like my whole life packed into one fragile body. "There's a guy near the border, name's Eamon Vale. He forges documents, gets people across if the money's right. We just have to get there before the manhunt locks the state down." "Money?" I laughed, then winced at the pain. "Leora, we don't have a dime." She didn't flinch. She never did. "I sold the guitar. And my paintings." Her voice cracked then just a little, and my chest ached worse than my stitches. That guitar was all I had left of who I'd been, and she gave it up for me. Jace turned down a gravel path barely wider than the Jeep. Tree branches clawed at the roof. He said, "If they got choppers out, this won't hide us long. You sure this Vale guy won't sell you out for a payday?" Leora said nothing, which told me everything I needed to know. We reached an abandoned barn at dawn. Jace killed the engine. He and Leora helped me out of the Jeep, half carrying me to a ratty sleeping bag that smelled like old straw and raccoon piss. I lay down on a ratty sleeping bag, my vision swimming. I heard Leora and Jace whispering below. I caught fragments. How far? Fake plates. No cell towers. Then sleep took me, like a wave dragging a drowning man under. I dreamed of Chicago, of cold beers and dive bars, of Leora dancing barefoot on our apartment floor, her hair lit up by neon signs outside. I dreamed I was back on that rooftop where I first told her I loved her, both of us drunk on whiskey and bad poetry. I woke up to hushed voices. Leora and Jace were arguing. "He's not strong enough, Lo. He's gonna slow you down." "I don't care, Jace. I didn't save him to leave him now. You're throwing your life away." "Then let me," she hissed. Silence. Then boots scuffing straw. Jace came up into the loft, knelt beside me. He smelled like gasoline and sweat. He didn't hate me. I could see that. But he looked at me like a sick dog he might have to put down. "You got maybe 6 hours before the troopers sweep these hills. Leora won't leave you, so you better find whatever strength you got left, old man, or you both die." I nodded. My throat was dry as bone. "Get me up." He hauled me up like I weighed nothing,
Pain flared white behind my eyes, but the anger burned hotter, at Trig, at the choices I'd made, at the fact that Leora, bright, untamed Leora, was still chained to a man like me. We moved before the sun could rise too high. Jace swapped the Jeep for an old Ford Bronco parked behind the barn. New plates, a stolen sticker on the windshield, duct tape over a cracked taillight. Classic run-for-your-life style. I sat in the back, half-conscious, while Leora rode shotgun, and Jace muttered prayers to whatever saints watch over lost causes. Somewhere around mid-morning, a state police cruiser pulled behind us. No lights, no siren, just a slow creep, matching our speed. I saw Leora's fingers grip the door handle like she'd leap out if she had to. "Play it cool," Jace murmured. We rolled past a gas station. The cruiser stuck. Another mile, then another. My heart jackhammered in my ribs. I felt the drip of blood through my bandages. I wondered if this was where the road finally ended, in a ditch with bullets and regret for company. Then, just like that, the cruiser turned off onto a side road. Gone. Leora let out a laugh that cracked at the edges. Jace just wiped sweat from his brow. I closed my eyes and tried to steady my breathing. By dusk, we reached Eamon Vale's safe house, a run-down fishing cabin near the St. Lawrence River, close enough to Canada you could skip rocks across freedom. Eamon was older than I expected. Gray hair, missing teeth, hands that shook unless they were forging someone's new life. He looked at me, at my wounds, at the girl with fire in her eyes, and he sighed like he'd seen this movie 100 times. "It'll cost you," he said. Leora handed him a wad of crumpled bills. My guitar money. She didn't flinch. Eamon stuffed the cash in a coffee can, then pointed at a sagging couch. "Lie down. I'll see what I can do about your papers. Might take a day, maybe 2. That night, Leora curled up beside me on the couch. No blankets, no pillows, just us in the smell of mildew and river mud. Her heartbeat against my chest was the only thing that felt real. "Corbin," she whispered. "Yeah, baby. When we cross, promise me we'll stop running. No more lies, no more fast money. Just you, me, and maybe a tiny house by the ocean." I wanted to promise her the world, but my promises were poison. So all I said was, "I'll try." She kissed my jaw. "Trying's enough, for now." Outside, the river whispered freedom. I told myself this time we'd make it. We had to. I didn't sleep much that night. I could feel the river so close, an invisible border between the life I'd wrecked and the one I still dared to dream about. Every creak of the old cabin made my gut twist, expecting sirens, boots on the porch, or the bark of a deputy's voice. But all I heard was the river, the wind through the pine trees, and Leora's breath against my collarbone. Eamon worked through the night at his kitchen table, which was really just an old door propped up on milk crates. He had stacks of blank IDs, laminates, ink pads, and a scanner from the 90s that whined every time it warmed up. Jace watched him like a guard dog, always standing between Eamon and the front door. Around 3 a.m, I shuffled to the kitchen for water. Eamon looked up, eyes rimmed red. He pushed his glasses up on his forehead. "You know," he rasped, his voice like gravel in a blender, "if you cared half as much about yourself as that girl does, you wouldn't be here begging me to erase your mistakes." I took a sip from the cracked glass. It tasted like iron and river silt. If I could do it over, old man, I'd never let her fall for me in the first place. Eamon just grunted. "Too late for that, Romeo. She's got your brand all over her." He went back to stamping a fresh passport. Jace nodded at me, then went back to loading rounds into a pistol. We all knew this safe house was a fragile lie. One phone call, one suspicious neighbor, and we'd be back in cuffs or body bags. By dawn, Eamon had 3 sets of papers ready. New names, new birth dates, new lives. He handed mine over with a grunt. I looked down at the passport. Cole Radford, born in Helena, Montana. Fitting, in a way, a ghost version of who I'd been. Jace had a fake, too. "This gets me into Windsor," he said, pocketing his. "Once I drop you 2, I'm out. I got a sister in Vancouver. Maybe I'll learn to surf or something." "Thank you, kid," I said. He shrugged. "Don't thank me till you're on the other side."
We waited until dusk. Eamon swore it was the quietest window. Dusk was when the local troopers clocked off and the feds hadn't switched shifts yet. He drew us a map on the back of a pizza box, a logging road winding through a patch of state forest to a dock on the St. Lawrence. There would be an old aluminum boat there. 2 miles of water, and we'd be in Canada. Boat's got a hole, Eamon said with a crooked grin. Plugs taped under the seat. Don't forget to shove it in before you row, or you'll end up swimming the whole damn river. Leora laughed, and for a second she looked like the girl I'd met in that bar so many lifetimes ago, all freckles and mischief and hope. We left as the sun dipped behind the trees, turning the sky bruised purple. Jace drove slow, no headlights, every bump in the logging road rattling my ribs. I held Leora's hand the whole time, her thumb tracing circles on my palm like a silent vow. We get across, we don't look back. When we reached the dock, it was exactly as Eamon promised, splintered boards, rusted nails poking up, and the world's saddest fishing boat tied to a rotten post. Jace cut the engine and turned to us. "This is where I ghost you to," he said. I wanted to hug him, but there's no hugging guys like Jace, so I just stuck out my hand. He gripped it, hard, then looked at Leora. "Stay lost, Lo. For real this time." She smiled. "Be careful, kid." He pulled away into the dark, tires crunching gravel. Then it was just us and the river and a sky full of restless stars. I limped down the dock, every step a war. Leora held the boat steady. We pushed off, oars squealing in rusty locks. Water slapped the hull in slow, steady heartbeats. Halfway across, Leora leaned back and laughed, a wild, beautiful sound that startled a flock of geese overhead. "Look at us, Corb," she said. "No cars, no sirens, no cops, just you, me, and the river." I laughed too, but my chest burned for every breath. "I ever tell you you're insane?" She winked. "That's why you love me." I looked back toward the dark line of trees we'd come from. No lights, no engines, just shadows swallowing up every bad choice I'd made. Ahead of us, the opposite shore gleamed under moonlight. A foreign land, yes, but also the closest thing I ever had to a clean slate. Then I heard it, a low thrum behind us. A motorboat. Fast. Not Jace. Too sleek, too loud. I turned. Leora did too. Headlights flared on the riverbank behind us. A spotlight swung out, blinding us for a heartbeat. Then a voice boomed over a bullhorn. "Corbin Maddox, United States Marshal, stop rowing and put your hands up." Leora froze. I could feel her panic like static in the air. I grabbed the oars. "Keep your head down, Lo." "Corbin!" She down. I barked. I dug the oars deep, pulling water like my life depended on it, because it did. The boat groaned, bobbed, inched forward. Behind us, the motorboat closed the gap, its wake awking our hull. I heard a pop, then a splash near my left hand, a warning shot. "Corbin!" Leora screamed. Another pop. Another splash closer. Then like a miracle, the Canadian side, so close I could see the reeds brushing the shore. I pushed harder. One oar slipped from my hand and vanished into the black water. The boat spun sideways, listing. Water sloshed over the rim. "Plug!" I gasped. Leora fumbled under the seat, her fingers clutching the tape-wrapped cork. She jammed it into the drain hole, but water still lapped at my boots. I looked at her, hair plastered to her cheeks, eyes blazing defiance. I knew right then I'd rather drown with her than rot in a cell alone. "Hold on, baby. We're almost free." Behind us, the marshal's motor roared louder, closer, then floodlight blasted over us, white and merciless, turning the river into a stage and us into cornered animals. I could hear the marshals barking to each other over the roar of the motor. My vision tunneled on the far bank, 20 feet, maybe 30. If we could just jump and swim, maybe.
If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching.